guys, welcome back. Today we're at the range with a Sig MPX-k. This originally was Jason's gun, but he had picked it up in the hopes that I would trade him my very early Generation 1 MPX for this one. The reason being is he wanted a slightly longer barrel, and when he made the offer, I accepted because I wanted a slightly shorter barrel because I like to run my 9mm guns with suppressors. It's one of the advantages of running a PCC, or pistol caliber carbine, is the ability to suppress it and have some fun that way. So we made the swap and we went out and did some shooting, but before we did that, I switched the components from my Gen 1 to this Gen 2, but there's not really a Generation 1 or Generation 2 MPX. Sig hasn't named them that. Those of us that use them call them that because there are generational changes, but Sig hasn't changed the nomenclature. But I pulled the parts off my gun, having not fired this one yet, put the tri-lug adapter on it without the shoulder, and grabbed the can, which is a Griffin Armament Optimus 9mm can, which being used as a 9mm, it's a multi-caliber can, and I put it on here, and then we went out to do some shooting with it, and we noticed some really wild groups at 20 yards, like 28 MOA groups. So that prompted today's video. We wanted to do a little bit more testing and figure out what's going on with this particular MPX-k. Now, I'm not going to shoot it anymore with the Optimus on there because we already know that putting this can on the gun causes the group sizes at 20 yards to literally go to 4, 5, 6 inches, which means the bullet might not be flying true, and I don't want to damage the baffles in my suppressor. So today, what we want to do is try to get to the bottom of this. What has changed between my Gen 1 and Gen 2, and what might be the problem with this particular gun. Now, right now, I have the tri-lug adapter on here with no shoulder adapter. Sig has a 45-degree angle cut to their barrels, so you can use their suppressors, but they used to sell ring adapters for them, so you could slide it over, give a right shoulder. I called Sig. They said, oh, no, you don't need one for this particular gun, and we already saw that it was shooting groups all over the place, so I got one from a third party. And we're going to try that out here today, see if that kind of solves the problem, hopefully, with this particular gun. All right, let's start off by doing a little bit of shooting. We are shooting today some Syntech ammunition from Federal. It's 130 grain range ammunition, and they do supply the ammunition to us here at the channel for free to support the channel. And again, we'd like to thank our friends over at Federal for the ammunition support. So let's fire off a few rounds here, and then let's do some testing with this gun and see if we can figure out if there's a configuration that'll get this little guy shooting as I expect it to. It's all over that little challenge target, but yeah. All right, let's get to the bottom of this. I've taken my rail off. Here's my new shoulder adapter. You can see this shoulder that Sig suppressors use, which makes it so you can't readily use anybody else's suppressor, in my experience anyway. And here's a shoulder adapter. Now, what this is supposed to do is take away that 45-degree angle and give you a right edge so that you can get your suppressor and muzzle device concentric to bore. And let's go ahead and screw the muzzle device on. It is a 13.5 by 1 left-hand thread on there. Go ahead and put our handguard back on. And we have our Griffin Armament. This is the can that I had originally on my first Gen MPX, and I just kept it on there because it always worked great. And I'm going to put the suppressor on. And now, let's do some shooting and see if that right shoulder adapter fixes the problems that we were having with the MPX-k. So let's do some accuracy testing now. Now I have that shoulder adapter from Midwest Industries installed on here, tri-lug adapter, and my Griffin Armament Optimus suppressor. I have a Trijicon RMR on top. It's battery powered, and then a Midwest Industries mount. So this is my original Gen 1 gun that Jason's now set up for his own use. He wanted that longer rail, slightly longer barrel, and right now it just has a bird cage on it. So, because I've taken the can off of it and put it onto the gun that I want. And the reason, again, I went to this little shorter package was because I wanted to run a suppressor, and if I could take a few inches off of it, I could go even shorter if I would run like an Omega 9K or something like that. But those are kind of loud cans. They're kind of minimalistic. This little Optimus I've had on my Gen 1 for quite some time, and it's always done pretty well. So I'll load up some more of the Federal Syntech ammo. Now again, I don't want to shoot it a whole bunch until I'm for sure that shoulder adapter has solved my problems, because the last thing I want to do is get a baffle strike. All right, so we'll get set up and do some shooting here and see what we get. At 20 yards, ballistics tells us that the gun with the suppressor on it, the Midwest Industries taper ring, and the tri-lug adapter, it shot about 4.37 inch group. So something still isn't right. So now we've removed the suppressor. We still have the Midwest Industries taper mount or donut to compensate for the Sig taper on the barrel, and then we have the tri-lug adapter. Last time we tried this, even without a suppressor on it, just the inch or so of tri-lug adapter sticking out in front of the barrel would cause wild shot dispersion. It wouldn't go back to shooting normal groups until we took the muzzle device completely off. This is the new Sig MPX-k with its handguard off so you can see the barrel. Notice it has that 45-degree angle taper mount that Sig has become notorious for, and there's no real right edge or shoulder there to mount a regular non-Sig suppressor. So I called Sig up and asked if I could buy the little ring, the donut that fits over the end of the barrel I've purchased for other Sig long guns. And they said, based on my serial number, there's no adapter necessary. Just go ahead and put your silencer on there. Well, I did. But first I put the tri-lug adapter on there, and it is wonky and it has no right angle to butt up against, and so it's setting at an angle. With the tri-lug adapter on here, it shoots a nice 28 MOA group at 20 yards. When I take the tri-lug adapter off, now it shoots a normal sized group. So unless you use a Sig suppressor, because they won't sell you an attachment, at least they wouldn't sell me one, you really have no way to suppress your new MPX-k. Let's try it again. 20 yards, same Federal 130 grain Syntech. I can already tell from here, the Midwest Industries ring didn't do a darn thing. So here's the point I was aiming at with the suppressor off, with the tri-lug adapter on, and the Midwest Industries ring adapter for the 45-degree shoulder. And here is our nice 5.05 inches and 24.13 MOA from 20 yards. So that little tiny tri-lug adapter is causing those bullets to fly wildly. And Jason's noticed this, I don't know, paper tear is funny, but he's noticed that there's a little tear at the bottom of pretty much all the holes with the exception of that one. And he brought the issue of keyholing up. I don't see any evidence in the suppressor. I checked the suppressor out really well. I don't see any signs of a baffle strike, but who knows what that bullet's doing, but it's not leaving the barrel true. We know that much. I've already broken the muzzle device loose, and you can see that's about, it's over an inch, but that's about how much this tri-lug adapter extends past the end of the barrel that's causing the wild shot dispersion. This is the part Sig would not sell to me, so I had to go to a third party to buy, but as it turns out, it's a complete waste because the gun's still shooting wildly. But now we have no muzzle device on there, ring adapter's off, tri-lug adapter's off. Let's put it back together using the same ammunition, same 20 yards, and voila, it's going to shoot a group you would expect it to shoot. Can't really see what we got going on down there. So let's run down and take a look. So point of aim, number 4, point of impact. We have 4 rounds to the same hole in some wild flyer. Who knows? But the point being is this is what you would expect in terms of accuracy from the gun. So you can see by simply removing the tri-lug adapter and the suppressor and the shoulder adapter, which is supposed to give you a right angle so that the suppressor and muzzle device are concentric to bore. It's not. The barrel is flawed in that Sig MPX-k. Color me surprised. So this is my original MPX Gen 1 in its original configuration with the same Optimus suppressor on it, the same tri-lug adapter with no shoulder adapter. And this one has run fine for me for years in this configuration. We'll shoot it here momentarily. The only thing Jason changed was he put this Burris red dot sight on it. So, all right. Now what we've done, now here's what's funny about this whole story. So when Jason got this, because he wanted the longer barrel of mine, and the fact I have a ton of magazines for it, because the first gen magazines are like 19 bucks or less now, if you can still find them, and the new magazines for the second gen guns are 69 bucks a pop or something like that, over $60. So he wanted the longer barrel and of course access to those affordable magazines, and I just wanted a smaller gun because I thought that this was a cool size. For the MPX, I'm like, fine, man, you know, we'll swap. So a couple of things changed. So I didn't even shoot this gun. I made the assumption, once again, that a Sig product wouldn't be all beeped up, okay? So I invested in a new SB Tactical brace. I bought this one, I think, off Amazon. It's the only place I could find it online. We didn't have any at Copper. That's because I wanted to get rid of Sig's ripoff of SB Tactical's work with this goofy ass contraption, right? Didn't want that on it. So I wasted some more money and got one of these. Turns out I don't need. Maybe I'll put on our Ruger PCC carbine chassis. And then I immediately took off the tri-lug and the suppressor and put it on here. So I never fired this in its original configuration. Now we've done accuracy testing, not just today, but other days, where we've taken the muzzle device off and it shoots groups that you would expect. We never fired it with its own muzzle device. So it'll be interesting to find out if Sig's own muzzle device causes the bullets to fly wild, and the only way this gun will even shoot groups is if it has no muzzle device. So let's find out. I don't know the answer to that question because, like I said, I hadn't shot this gun before I just swapped all my parts out from my Gen 1 to this gun. And yeah, so here we go. Okay, all right, so down at 20 yards here at the 5-shot group, aiming at number 4, and there's shot dispersion there. On the last group we shot without the muzzle device, all 4 shots were touching and we had 1 flyer.
Zeroing.
Zeroing. All right, so we sat about to zero this Burris fast fire on the gun because Jason put it on there for his use. And so we just went ahead and, you know, we're going to zero it in case it was wildly off because it hadn't been test fired yet with that optic. Well, here's the test fire group. I was aiming at number 4. It's close enough to give you an idea. So this group size actually looks about the same size as the MPX-k with its own bird cage. Without the muzzle device, with the 4 rounds touching, we've seen fairly tight groups like that before. I don't know if just any muzzle device may cause slight shot dispersion or not, but this is pretty normal, all right? And the Burris's dot is far more fuzzy than my RMR. It just isn't as sharp of a dot, but the point being, we have the exact same tri-lug adapter on here, no shoulder adapter, and the exact same Optimus can, and we're not seeing 24 to 28 MOA groups because everything's not wonky. Okay guys, so let's go ahead and pop the handguard off here. You can see there's no shoulder adapter on there. I'm gonna go ahead and pop the tri-lug can off. Ugh. There we go, a little bit of carbon buildup. Yes, the weapon's safe, for those of you, we already checked. So here you can see now, it's a little bit different here. This looks like maybe there's a little bit more thread. Let's take a look. Yeah, it's about the same. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead, put the shoulder adapter on there. I'm gonna go ahead and put the tri-lug adapter back on. And put the rail back on. It's a neat modular system. The MPX, I think, is I think a gas operated 9mm carbine is a little over the top. But overall, I mean, this little gun's never failed me. And I was reluctant to trade Jason because, you know, even though it's a first gen and uses outdated magazines and all the other stuff that Sig did to them without really telling anybody, because I'm calling them Gen 1 and Gen 2 in this video, but in reality, there are no nomenclature changes between the newest gun and the oldest gun, between the old magazines and the new magazines. The only way you can tell the magazines apart is one has a black follower and one has a green follower. If you're looking for, if I were to go to sell this on here with this aftermarket rail, unless you really know what you're looking for, you wouldn't know you're buying a Gen 1 gun meant to use old magazines. So just more tomfoolery from Sig. They do that with all sorts of their firearms. Notice that with the 5.56 line as well. From what I can tell here, the shoulder adapter actually makes things worse. I'm going to shoot a few more rounds at the same target. Okay, empty the magazine out. Let's just go take a look. It looks like it's horizontally stringing. Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. All right, guys. You can't make this stuff up. Jason and I are both laughing right now. So here's without the shoulder adapter from Midwest Industry, so save your money. And here's the group after the shoulder adapter was put on. We see that wild shot dispersion. Maybe that's why Sig stopped selling those little donuts and wouldn't sell me one over the phone, is because it really doesn't help. If anything, it hurts. Guys, oh, jeez. The problems that we found today with the MPX-k, I think, relate to the barrel just not being manufactured properly. The threads most likely aren't concentric to bore based on to what we saw in our testing this afternoon. So the gun with its bird cage on shoots okay. If I were fine with it not being suppressed, at this point, based on our testing, I would say I don't even know if a Sig suppressor, which has that taper built into it, would even work right with this gun. I think the barrel's defective. Now, yes, Jason or I could reach out to Sig customer service. I already tried that once to get a donut from them. Sat on hold for a long time, only to be told, no, you don't need one, and whatever. Turns out they're right, the gun doesn't work with or without one, because the threads apparently aren't concentric to bore. So the gun, this one, I'm not saying this is across the entire platform. I think this goes back and speaks to Sig's lack of quality control, because it's, I mean, I'm not hating on Sig. I actually was looking forward to having the smaller version over my original Gen 1, which was longer, because I run a suppressor and I would be able to save a few inches of length, and Jason would be happy and I would have been happy. It just turned out, once again, Sig quality control bit me. I don't know if I'm just the unluckiest person in the world or what, but I can't suppress it, therefore it's useless. And Jason says he's just going to return it to the Sig dealer and try to get a refund or something like that, which is unfortunate because this is a cool little gun. We were going to roll this into the video if things went a little bit better today. This is the Copperhead. This is the gun that went up against the B&T entry, the APC-9K, and I was going to talk about why I would have preferred this gun over the Copperhead, but yeah, we're not going to have time for that. We'll talk about the Copperhead in another video. This one was just trying to sort out the problems with this particular gun, and sadly, this one isn't any use to either me or Jason, so hopefully he can get his money back. Guys, we are 100% viewer supported, so if you'd like to see us to continue with our honest assessments of various products that are on the market, the best way to do that is to become a Patreon supporter. We do not take any industry money. Don't take money from Trijicon, don't take money from Midwest Industries, certainly don't take money from Sig. I don't think they'd ever offer it to me. We're supported by you. And so there's a link down below, follow that link and consider supporting us directly. Also, please swing by and check out coppercustom.com. And last but not least, we are Twitch gamers. If you would like to join us in a Twitch stream, become a Patreon, send us a note, tell us what your PSN name is. We'll add you as a friend and you can join us in some streams live on Twitch. Thank you for 11 years of support, and we'll talk to you all soon.